old and idle.
There's either jokes that you can understand, or there's things that are funny that you can't understand. And that's the kind of comedy I enjoy best, is when something's funny, you don't know why.
He's the biggest thing to hit comedy in years. Just mention the name Steve Martin and listen to the catchphrases fly. A wild and crazy guy, a rambling kind of guy, and of course...
Excuse me!
I'm Bill Huie. In a moment, a closer look at the comedy phenomenon of Steve Martin on What's It All About.
Arizona, move to Catalunya. Born in Arizona, got a condo made of stoner.
Steve Martin was born in Waco, Texas, but it wasn't until his family moved to a Los Angeles suburb that he became interested in show business. One of the most important events in his life happened in 1955. Disneyland opened. For 8 years, in various shows in the park, he experimented with magic, comedy, and banjo playing. Actually, he's quite a competent picker.
I like playing the banjo, but I don't enjoy it more than anything else.
While attending junior college, Steve developed an interest in philosophy and almost gave up comedy. Eventually, though, he turned his talents to TV writing, soon landing a job on the staff of the Smothers Brothers show. But writing other people's material wasn't enough. By 1972, he was performing in Las Vegas. He bombed, but he still remembers the Vegas scene.
I gotta be me, I gotta be me. Okay, Sammy Davis Jr., personal friend of mine. It's impossible to put a Cadillac in your nose. It's just impossible.
By 1975, Steve was on TV and his act was getting stranger and funnier, but he still wasn't getting any respect.
I went into the backstage, and the guy said, "Be $1 for parking." And I said, "I'm performing on the show." He says, "Be $1, you park over there." I said, "Well," I said, "you tell him I was here, okay?" And he says, "Just a minute." And he calls him and says, "Okay, you can go over there."
Now, of course, he's a superstar, but there's always the danger that the bubble will burst.
The way to prevent that is to not exploit the same thing, continue until it just dies. If I went out and toured for the next 5 years, I think I'd exhaust the supply of people who wanted to come.
I just thought the banjo was the one thing that could have saved Nixon, you know. He went on television right at the right time, went, "Hi, everything's great." I think it'd be great if he had been traveling around the country and got off the plane and said, "I'd like to talk about politics, but first a little Foggy Mountain Breakdown."
What does Steve Martin's popularity say about us? Why do we laugh at this often abusive, obnoxious, silly, and mindless character? His humor isn't topical or political. He doesn't really penetrate the mind. He just tickles it, as one writer put it. He seems to have only one joke, himself. Steve thinks his popularity probably has something to do with the tone of the times.
I think right now the times are very free, and everybody seems to be kind of happy and optimistic, and the evils aren't that serious as they were 10 years ago when there's a war going on.
I guess it's all in your perspective and the mood of society. No doubt there is as much evil around as there always has been, but after living through a decade of intense concern for the evils of humanity, and then the realization that with all the movements of the 60s, we still aren't that much closer to a perfect society. We have to relieve the burden that we carried and that has become so heavy. Perhaps philosopher Steve Martin has helped us do that. And though it's still our job to right wrongs and cure injustice, perhaps our failures have given us more of a dependence on the one who can relieve the ills of humanity. He who is what it's all about.
Hey, this guy is good. Got a little test they gave you. It's a balloon. If you can get inside of it, they know you're small. It's like religion. I mean, you can't really take it seriously because it seems so mythological and it seems so arbitrary. I guess I wouldn't believe in anything if it weren't for my lucky astrology mood watch.
Because I am a